PAR, in fact. So you're looking at this. If you want to change the percent, just like you do on the PAR, just type in a new percent. As simple as that. We also let you add chart fields. So it's a little hard to see here, but down on the bottom left here in this red bar, there's a button for adding a chart field. So you just click that, and that's going to open up a box to allow you to put in a new chart field string that they aren't already funded on. So I'm going to go ahead and throw one in and let you see what that looks like on this application. Okay, so I put in a new chart field down at the bottom of my screen here, and now I can just assign the percentage for this chart field. So I'm just going to throw in a couple changed percents here. Okay, so I've changed one down to 40 and another one up to 10%. Once that's done, I can click on update amounts, or I can just submit from there. In a minute, I'm going to show you what the update amounts does, but I'm going to click it first. I'm not going to show you yet. I'm going to keep you in suspense. Now, if I scroll further down, underneath the effort distribution section, so underneath the section that looks like the PAR, we have basically processing information. You can actually put in the explanation here, just like you have if you do an in-quarter reallocation today, you have an explanation box on the form. The explanation is required. I'm just going to throw in something short here. Also asks who is requesting it. Notice that the application already knows who I am, so as the person who's submitting a change, it's already tracking who's preparing this. Once I put in all of those processing fields, I can save for later. In this situation, I'm just going to submit it. So next thing to note is the effort distribution report is not just a report for tracking and monitoring effort distribution. It's also a mechanism for submitting a change online. And all you do is hit submit. Now it's done. Now it's in central administration's hands. So if you've used eJournal, some similar things going on as you see in eJournal. You can submit online. It's not going to go through a bunch of electronic approvals. This application's actually pretty simple right now. But it does, just by hitting the submit button, it sends it on to central administration for processing. So I'm going to go back up to the top and I'm going to show you, like in eJournal, we've put a status bar up here. And so you can easily, quickly see what's the status of this transaction. When I was preparing it, it showed prepared. Once I submit it, it shows it's submitted, which means it's in central admin hands. Once central administration processes it, it'll show complete. But these are going to go through payroll just like any other reallocation that you submit today. So central administration's got to actually key it in, but then it waits for payroll processing. Once payroll processing is done, then it's going to say posted to payroll. So you'll actually know if it's been keyed and processed by central admin but not yet posted, or you'll know if it's been posted. So you can actually go back in and track. A huge benefit over the PAR is you can actually track the status and see who's doing what and when they're doing it. Let me scroll back down and I'll show you. When I submitted it, it actually showed me that the last action was submit by me. So you can actually, there's some great tracking features in here, like you get with some other applications. So we're actually really excited to be rolling that out. Now, another huge benefit, because again, we are doing all we can to try and make this easier for you guys. So I'm going to scroll off to the right now. Now I'm going to show you some things that are not on the PAR. You can't read them here, but you might be able to read them on your paper copy. To the right of the correcting percent box, there's a corrected amount. And what that shows you is if you make a change to the percentage, it's going to show you the amount that should have hit the earnings. We also have a column here called related benefits. You know when you submit a change, you know how much that's going to impact the earnings, but you always wonder, okay, I know benefits are going to follow and central administration is going to change the benefits too, but you don't really have a good handle on how much the benefits are going to change. Now, for a lot of employees, it's pretty straightforward. All the benefits move with it. But if you're working with clinical incentive pay or someone who has other pay sources that aren't effort-based, then only a portion of those benefits are going to follow, and it becomes really difficult to get a sense of how much the benefits are going to change. So what we did is we built into this application the same logic that central administration uses to determine how much of the benefits are related to this and how much of the benefits are going to follow a change. So this application is actually going to show you, here's the related benefits, and if you're making a change, here's how much the benefits are going to correct. And then the last column to the right shows you the estimated adjustment that's going to hit the general ledger. So it sums up what's the change to earnings and the change to benefits, what's the net adjustment that should hit the account. So it's really important to know that this is an estimate, because commonly there's going to be penny rounding issues. The application's kind of dumb. All it does is it says, what's the amount, what's the percent, and it does a straight multiplication. Well, if it does that line by line, it's not always going to sum down to zero on the net adjustment. But so we just have it doing it straight. Central administration is going to go in and do the penny rounding. There will actually be some instances too, special cases like if you're managing an NIH cap, where the estimated adjustment will be more off than just pennies, because we've got to do some special calc stuff and special handling. So we'll become very familiar as we're using this application, which of those, I'll come to you in just a second, which of those scenarios fall under that and when we can't rely on the estimate. But we'll also come to realize when the estimate is good and works for us and when we can rely on that. So if you're trying to figure out how much is this going to impact your GL. But it is important to know this isn't exact and it's not intended to be. So I kind of think of this as, one, a report for monitoring, two, a submission form, and all that's submitted is the percentages. The estimates are not submitted. Central administration will follow based on the percentages. So if you've got the percentages right, don't worry if the estimates are wrong. But it is a nice template for figuring out, in most cases, what are the estimated adjustments so that you don't have to go try to figure it all out yourself. I had a question back there. Yes, the application will accept them. So again, the business rule is, and in fact the compliance rule is generally you can only change percentages and whole amounts. There are a few exceptions to those guidelines, such as managing NIH cap. And yes, the application allows you to put in decimals. And of course, just like today, if you put in a decimal, central administration can look at that, and if it's not appropriate, they can just send it right back to you. And they can. And with this application, they can send it back to you, recycle it, or you can actually pull it back if you submitted it but it's not processed yet, and you go, oh, I need to make a change. So kind of like eJournal, you can recycle it, but this is a far more simple app. It doesn't give notifications automatically, but it is feasible to manage within the application.